your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.
Hi, welcome to Healing Outside the Box. I'm Rosemary LaChance, an energy healer and a spiritual advisor and teacher.
And I'm Carla Augustin. I'm a spiritual teacher.
And tonight we are continuing our Life Explained series, which will give you food for thought information about spirituality based on the teachings of Hans Wilhelm from his series. We will play one or two different DVDs and then have dialogue about it. We encourage you to call or email us or write to NHTV with your questions, and we'll answer them on the show or privately if you prefer. This is not a religious show, and no matter what religion or belief you follow, the information we give you will only enhance your beliefs. We do not try to convince you of anything. The series is recorded, will be shown in your area on your local public service cable network. Please contact them for dates and times.
Please visit Rosemary's or Hans's website, where you'll find a wealth of information about our show and about this series. Our shows are now available for you to watch on YouTube for free. Just go on YouTube and type in Healing Outside the Box to make your choices. We're constantly adding new shows, so please keep checking back. Now, we're also on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box. Please like our page for the latest information about our show. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Okay, tonight's show is titled Evil, is the first video, and the second one is The Waters of Life. And as soon as they get ready in the control room, we're going to play Evil, and then we'll have dialogue about it.
Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm, and in this video in the Life Explained series I would like to talk about evil. What is evil? Generally it is seen as something like a morally reprehensible act that causes harm and discomfort to others. The old Aramaic meaning of evil is unripe. Someone who commits an evil act is somebody who has simply forgotten who he or she is in truth, and we can also see evil as an evolutionary catalyst. For instance, when a person or a whole society has gone through a horrific war, they often evolve to a more peaceful and peace-loving and compassionate consciousness. But what about the evildoers? What encourages them to commit these acts of evil? To explore this question, I would like to share with you the mystical explanation that we find in many traditions. Now, for some of you, this may be a bit too far out, but as I have said over and over again, I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm merely sharing different and new insights. We have to go back to the beginning of creation. And here we have the pure spiritual heavens, or we can also call them the love, and the realm of the absolute, where evil is not possible. The mystics tell us that at one point some spiritual beings, or we can all call them angels, had the thought and the desire to be like God, and their goal was to undo creation and create their own new universe where they would be God. These thoughts and desires were contrary to love. They were of lower and different frequency, which catapulted these beings away from the frequency of love and pure heaven. In the Judeo-Christian teachings, this event is called the fall, and the leader of these beings was called Lucifer, the light bringer. Over eons of times, these beings lost most of their life energy and fell deeper and deeper and further away from the pure heavens. Many of them fell into physicality, the realm of contrast and duality, which is the realm of light and shadow and good and evil, of which planet Earth is one of these worlds. Some of these fallen entities have not given up their original desire to undo God's creation and have become very powerful beings and very destructive beings. And in many cultures they are called demons, evil spirits, grays, and so on. And most of them have resisted to be incarnated into an actual physical body here on earth. Now, the reason why they don't want to incarnate as human beings is because they would enter the wheel of reincarnation. That would mean that they would be reaping and harvesting all the horrors and negative seeds that they have sown. And here is the fascinating fact. Through the fall, these demonic beings have lost most of their own life energy potential, but they need a certain amount of energy to maintain their spiritual status and avoid incarnating into a human body. So they have to get it from somewhere. And from whom do they get it? Right, from us human beings. It is this intense negative energy, also called low energy or louche energy of mankind, that these entities feed on. This intense energy is created through our negative actions like fears, wars, hatred, fights, stress, and so on. And to get this energy from us, these demonic forces feed us with thoughts and beliefs of fear, hostility, confrontation, negativity, war, conflict, and so on. And on some level, we all have these thoughts, but their intensity gets inflamed and energized by these demonic forces, so that we eventually act upon them, and by doing so, we are generating that negative louche energy, which is food for the demonic entities. There's a wonderful description by Emanuel Swedenborg in his book on demons. He explains how these entities firstly fog our clarity and memory, and make us susceptible to negative thoughts and beliefs. And then these thoughts and beliefs are injected into our consciousness by those beings. Now can we see why we always had wars and destructions in this world? These are artificially induced conditions to supply these energy foods for the demonic forces. Any fight-to-death struggle releases this energy in great abundance. The most efficient way for these demonic forces is to start with the leaders of a group, of a nation, or a religion. These leaders then begin to promote injected beliefs of specialness and separation, and when more and more of their followers join their leaders' thinking and belief, it is only a matter of time when physical war against others will erupt. If you want to know more about it, I suggest you see my video, Why Do We Kill? Now we can look at a map of the Middle East with a much deeper understanding. According to the mystics, all these flashpoints and wars are nothing but a feeding ground for these negative entities. Now we also understand why evildoers feel so righteous in their actions. Take for instance a suicide bomber who kills himself and many others. Most of us might call that act as evil. But from the perspective and the twisted mind of the suicide bomber, his or her act is morally justified and even divine. We have the same contradiction with people like Hitler, Stalin or Mao, who have tortured and killed millions because they strongly believed that they were doing the right thing in their own mind. Or think of all the horrors like beheadings, rape, and torture that are done by many followers of ISIS and similar religious-inspired movements in the Middle East. They all believe that their actions are pleasing their God. Well, the Christian church is no different. They had the Inquisition, where countless people were tortured and killed in the name of God. But not only political or religious leaders can be manipulated. Mystics believe that anybody who harbors negative thoughts or beliefs can easily fall prey to these demonic forces. Any argument or struggle between two people generates this louche energy, which is just the perfect food for these invisible bystanders. Now, from the spiritual perspective, one can actually see how these energies are spark off like lightning bolts from people who are fighting with each other. It is so strong that our spiritual guides are unable to come close to us and help us and guide us further. But the demonic beings just love this energy. They gobble it up and do anything to continue that fight. Therefore, it is so important for us to immediately question any fearful and stressful thoughts before they can infest our mind, our words, and our actions. Remember Byron Katie's famous words, "There are no terrible people. There are believers. If I believed what they believed, I would have to do that too." Now we understand that evil has one further quality. It offers us the opportunity to forgive the evildoer. Without evil, how can we learn to totally forgive? Now, this was a short and general overview. There are many books available for deeper studies, and I personally enjoyed reading Astral Horrors by Gabriele von Würzburg. Please share this video if you enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon again.
Well, that's a good explanation for what's going on in the world today.
Yeah,
isn't it?
doesn't it? I know.
Wow, that's
I know.
really, and they are
really,
sure, those demons are sure getting their evil these days.
They are. They're not hiding it.
No,
that's what
and
I've noticed.
They're getting all that energy from what's going on, all this protests and everything going on in the world now.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I know, they must be loving it, between all the fear.
Yeah.
And then all the protest and all the anger.
And all the cruel acts and the hitting and the things they've done and
hurting
just,
others.
oh my God.
Yeah.
So,
they're sucking it up.
I wish they knew what they were doing when they did this, how they were feeding these demons who want to take them over. And the future with them is nothing but horror. And because Lucifer's running it all, you know?
It
Boy,
does
oh boy.
feel like we're in a battle between good and evil.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not the only one who've said that. It sounds dramatic to say it, but I've really thought about it through this whole virus thing and the shutdown and the aftermath. And I do think we're in a battle between good and evil.
Oh,
I
yes.
think it's really playing out in front of us. I don't know if it's been like that in decades past, but this is like really playing out. I suppose when there's wars and stuff.
Yeah, see, we United States wasn't involved in anything. All the wars were over in Europe and
that's
other
true.
countries. But now, just
It's
with
here.
the protests, it's not a war, but it's a protest, which is getting to be just as bad, and it's here.
Right.
So now we can see firsthand what they've been going through all these years, you know? So it's always been a battle for good and evil, ever since the world began,
Right. Yeah.
for our souls.
Right. I guess we get spoiled here.
Yeah.
You know, we live well and we get spoiled.
Yeah, coming to living in the United States was a kind of a blessing. But now the evil is reaching out here and everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere.
So
And of course, now there's things going on in the world that have been going on for years and years and hundreds of years that people are just finding out.
Yes.
So the good thing about what's going on now is that people are seeing. It's like ooze coming out of the cracks
Seeing right.
of the sidewalks, you know,
being
the roads.
exposed.
Yeah, and people are being exposed for what they've been doing.
People are seeing.
Terrible.
It's so in our face. Yeah.
Yes.
And people are digging. You know, they call them the digital warriors. They're people that are digging. They're going through, back videos, and they're going through archived information, and they're going back on what somebody said on Twitter 8 years ago. I mean, everything, right? Nothing's a secret once it's out. And so they're coming out with it, and they're showing it, and they just kind of keep exposing, which is a good thing, to expose evil. I think that's what we're talking about tonight. You know, when we like what is evil?
Right.
I mean, what is evil?
Right.
How would you define evil? You know,
How would I define evil? Anything against God, anything that's not loving, is I think there's levels of evil, you know, from 1 to 10, say, of kinds of evil in the world. One thing that has me very puzzled, I don't understand, is that with all the things that are coming about, the pedophilia that's been going on, and the killing of children for that anachrome, is that how you say it, that they want from their bodies, all these things, people aren't taking it seriously. I don't see much on it.
No.
Do you? I don't see.
Well, I think there's not
on
much on it, because the media is not going to. The media, I think mainstream media, I've learned through this pandemic to get my information elsewhere.
Oh, yes.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you can't depend on turning on the news in the morning or at night and necessarily getting your information, or turning on the radio and getting information. So I really discovered that piece that I had to research on my own if I wanted to find out information.
Definitely.
Right? And I think that's what this has shown us. So the media does feel very controlled, and if they're not supposed to. I was actually watching something, and who brought it up? Somebody brought up George Soros. And they go, you can't talk about George Soros. You know, it was really something. And it was just, it was Newt Gingrich. He brought up about George Soros. And I think it was the other guest that was on, was like, you can't talk about George Soros. You can't talk about him. And then they just sort of ended it all very abruptly.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, we are really, that's another show though, we are being censored.
Censored something
Unbelievable.
terrible.
We're being censored. And the problem is, I think, if we bring it back to spirituality, it's just all about the truth, right? The truth will set you free,
Right.
And that's what we seek on the spiritual journey, the truth about ourselves and how we relate to the world and our relationship with God.
Right.
That's the be all and end all. It's why we bring up some of the subjects that we do, is because we're looking for the truth. And
Right.
evil's not the truth. It's not aligned with God.
Right.
It's not love, and it's not who we inherently are.
Right.
So we're not evil, but it's very important. I've been doing a little bit of research on this, and the thing with evil, and I mentioned it in the last show, but with evil, you need to recognize it. It is your responsibility as a human spiritual being to recognize it and denounce it, because if you don't, then it's allowed to exist, and it's the same thing as being complicit. It's the same thing of saying you agree with it. If you don't denounce it, if you don't see it
Right.
and denounce it, then that means
You
it's
agree.
the equivalent in the universe of agreeing with it. So that's why Rosemary and I thought that we would talk about evil today, because it's very important. I know I'm working on it all the time, like, how do we do it? So let's talk about, how do we recognize evil? I mean, how do we uncover, evil? Because evil in my mind, it's fear, right? Evil creates fear. Anything that's creating fear in your
Creates
life.
fear, yeah.
I mean, if a lion ran in, we'd be afraid, okay? But there's an obvious reason why we're
Right.
afraid.
And the lion's not evil. It's just
It scared us.
yeah.
So that's why we're afraid. And maybe we have to be afraid. Maybe he's hungry, and we do have to be afraid. So, so maybe, but that's a different thing. It's when
Yes.
something, an organization, a leader, somebody that you're friends with, if they're purposely creating fear, okay, so that's an absence of love. So
Right.
that's what we have to look at. That's how we can identify evil. It's like, what's creating fear?
Okay, well, now you just look around. I mean, it's very easy to see these days.
Yes.
I don't watch the news, but I pick and choose what I want on the computer, on the different channels, different sites and so forth. And evil is someone doing something terrible to someone else.
Right.
You can be doing an action of a physical thing, hurting people, shooting, killing, stabbing, raping, whatever. Or it can be destroying someone's life by spreading rumors that are not true, right? Or breaking up someone's marriage, or anything like that.
Anything like that.
Hurting someone.
There's all levels of it, right?
Yeah, they're all levels, but
it's
they're-
for God to judge, but
Yeah.
there's the little white lie, and then there's all the way to something like pedophilia, which I think is
Yes.
the most horrific of all. So
Oh, it is, because
it is horrific. And
when you prey on something
So
like a
innocent.
child or an animal who are helpless against you,
right,
to me that's the lowest form of evil, because they can't defend themselves, they can't help, they're totally in your power. And to me, I think that's just the most horrible thing that there is.
I agree.
Just horrible.
I agree. And I think, like you say, it's funny, you brought up before, how come the media is not reporting on everything that's happening with the pedophilia and then human trafficking, and there's been a lot of arrests made, and so why aren't they? When you think about it, anybody that's in the media has an opportunity to really expose evil, and if they don't,
And they don't.
then are they part of the evil? I
Yes.
mean, you're right.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They're part of the evil.
Definitely.
If you're not really doing your job.
The
And
people who own these news companies are in
Right.
with the dark shadow government, and they tell their employees what to do, what to
to
post,
do,
and
what
what not
to
to post.
say.
The thing that surprised me is that when these all came out, the people around, everyday people, don't seem to believe it or take it seriously or protest very much.
well, I mean, I can understand. Okay, so I try to be open or compassionate or whatever, and I'm sure I've been on the planet a while. I'm sure I've had my periods of years where I'm just like, well, can't even go there, because I think depending upon where we are in life, we can be very overwhelmed with responsibilities and that type of thing, right? But there's still, I think we can get into too, there's still other things that you can do. So I think sometimes we can hear so much, we just shut down, and that's okay, right? Or that's like a defense, I guess. But it's like, are we open to how evil, especially is affecting your own life, and affecting your society and affecting your community and affecting, it does affect you. So how open are we? I'm not saying you have to spot evil everywhere, but it is an eye-opener, and it is freeing in a way. It is to know the truth, right?
You made some good points here, and you brought to my mind the thing about people are busy today. They're kept busy, and they're kept in a state of fear.
Yes.
Okay? Constant fear. And they don't want to disrupt their lives, and they figure, what could I do anyway? What good is it for me to do this or that or the other? Okay, you can't go out and form a group and go beat these people up or anything. No, that's true. But like you were saying before, develop your own spirituality. Be the light.
Be the light.
Just be the light. That's all you have to do. And pass that goodness. Where evil is going all around the world, we can pass the light and love all around the world.
Right.
That's why we stress on this show to develop your spirituality, because that is what's going to make you make a difference in the world. Even if you just, in your own neighborhood, or your few friends that you can enlighten by being kind and being nice and being and being spiritual, that will make a difference in the world. And energy is everything in this world. We live off God's energy. It's not just what's on the world. He gives us the energy to live, because we are, when we shed these bodies, we're spirit, right?
Right.
So that's the answer.
Right. We
Just
want God's light
what we
and love.
do with ourselves. Spread love. They're spreading evil. Spread love.
Spread love.
Turn the other cheek is true.
You read, exactly. You read about something, you think that's horrific, but then you go outside and you smile at everybody you see, or you make a nice comment, and then I always say too, just pray for people. You can read a horrendous article about the human trafficking and all these children being saved and all this kind of I just pray for them. I'm not going to go in and take care of. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go in and take care of them. I'm not going to be the one on the task force. That's not what I'm doing. I'll talk about it, to make other people aware. But I pray for them. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and just start praying for those children. It's like I just can't imagine living with what they live with and the fear that they live with.
I want to give people an example. It's just come to my head and it won't leave me, about spreading love and compassion and nice things in this world. I recently saw a little video where a man and his friend were looking for logs in this water, and an alligator came up. And he was hanging around them, and he came closer, and the man just put his hand on the alligator's nose, like this. And he's tapping him, because, no, go away, he was saying, and the alligator would go, then he'd come back, and he'd do the same thing, and he kept doing, and he'd talk to it, and he'd push it away, and he'd hit it, Alligator didn't try to attack him, because the man he must have had nice spiritual.
Right.
And he kept doing this, and he would laugh, and he'd push the alligator away, and he'd go and come back. Now, I've seen other ones where that would happen, a man would take a gun out and shoot it and kill it, not even wondering what the alligator was going to do. So there's the difference. That man who was doing that with the alligator was spreading love. He was kind to that alligator. And it doesn't end with the alligator. That love that he gave to this alligator, that good thing that he gave, went out into the world and went out into the universe. All the goodness that goes into the universe. Yes. It's not carried.
It's not just you smiling at someone.
Right.
It's the energy that radiates from that. And no matter what kind of mood somebody might be in that you don't even know the person, you just smile or whatever, and you don't know what that's doing within to them, and then that in turn creates a more positive,
good feeling.
a more
goes out.
Positive energy.
An alligator, people are so scared of, because they were taught to be afraid. All right, and others no, but they were taught. And when you do the bad thing and you kill and all that goes out as more icky energy. And the nice person, that goes out as beautiful energy. That's what people, I wish they could understand that that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Spread the good energy. You don't have to do these great acts.
No, but that does defeat evil.
Yes.
That's the thing. There's a funny thing that goes around, like on the, around on the internet and Facebook and all of that. And it's like, be that kind of person where as soon as your feet hit the ground in the morning, getting out of bed, as soon as your feet hit the ground, the devil says, oh, darn, she's up. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, so
that's good.
Be that person,
yes,
right?
Be that person.
Be that person. Yeah.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
So, all right, so evil creates fear, and it also manipulates and brainwashes.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing. It's funny, I was reading, evil deceives us with the fears evil creates. But evil's biggest fear, so evil creates the fears,
Right.
and then it's happy that you've bought into the fears and that you're allowing yourself to be fearful. But evil's biggest fear is that you become awakened. Because once you're awakened, you can't unawaken, right? They're calling it now the red pill moment. A lot of people are having the red pill moment.
Yes.
That's from the
I'm reading
Matrix and
that,
all.
yeah.
Yeah, people are having the red pill moment because they are becoming awake. They're realizing this about the children and the pedophile rings and the human trafficking and and then all sorts of things, the dark shadow governments, as you say. And so they're realizing about it. So people are becoming awake. And once you're awake, you can't unawaken.
When you first wake up in the morning, all the evil thoughts are all laying around the room, waiting to jump onto you.
You were saying this.
Yeah, they're ready to jump right on you.
They want to.
So if you awaken in the morning, and like I said, say some prayers.
Say a prayer.
Say a prayer, line with God. Ask for the help right away. They can't get near you because evil can only go where evil is. They can only go where it's attracted.
Yeah.
If there's a love there, the evil can't go near it.
It can't go near it.
Just like your guardian angel can't come near you when you're angry and you're sparking. Ah!
Right.
He can't come because you're shedding these sparks.
All the negativity.
It's the same thing with the evil.
Yeah.
So start your morning with
Radiate it.
radiate.
No matter what's going on in your life.
Just ask God, help me, no matter how hard it is.
Right.
Help me.
And show gratitude for all your blessings. That's another one. I have a friend that does that every morning before she opens her eyes. It's just thank you for a new day. Thank you. I know the sun's going to come up. Thank you. Whatever she can
Thank you for the night's sleep.
Thank you for the night's sleep. I have a bed to sleep on.
My car, my pet,
I'm
my
going to make
kids.
coffee now. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Everything. That's
Everything.
all.
The more you thank, the more you get. And you don't do it for that reason. But just do it because you're grateful.
Do it because you're grateful.
Just knew. We just knew how much we're blessed.
Right.
And that's the way you can stop this evil.
You can definitely help,
love.
right, and keeping it away from you. This is what we want, right? You want it to stay away from yourself. So we all get into bad moods. It happens. We get angry when we're driving, whatever. But just stop and kind of regroup. You know what I mean? And kind of go back to, okay, that's done. Now I'm going to go back to radiating truth, love.
Right. And we won't be perfect. We'll still make mistakes.
No, I mean, you don't have to be in the greatest mood. You can still smile at somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's got to be perfect, right? We're human beings. It doesn't. As far as I was trying to come up with a system, like, okay, so how do you actually recognize evil? And the first is to trust your inner feelings. If something not feel right, so even if the whole gang is saying this, but you're thinking, I don't know, it's just something seems a little off or doesn't feel right to me, or and I want to, like, okay, so follow that hunch almost, right? Just follow that feeling that you have that maybe something is not right. So it could be you were raised one way, raised to think one way, but I don't know, this bothers me a little bit. So.
Well, we're all the same, basically. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all created by God. No matter what you think, believe, whatever. If you believe in God, you don't believe in God, I'm sorry to say we're all the same. We all bleed red.
Right.
When you get past outside color, we're all red. Our blood is red.
Right.
All right. So no matter what we've been taught, when we're out there and something is wrong and something's evil, we get the feeling. All of us.
We do. We may deny it.
Right.
We may pretend.
Brush it off.
It's just kind of like.
I don't want to get involved.
It's just like when I shouldn't be doing that. It's wrong, but I can't resist. I'm going to do it. So, but that kind of feeling out there in life, how to recognize the evil, how to recognize evil people, how to recognize evil groups or, institutions. Are you familiar with Brandon Straka?
No.
Straka. He started the walkaway movement. Cool guy. There's a very good interview, if you're interested, viewers, between Mark Levin and Brandon Straka. He's a hairstylist in New York City. He was part of the gay community, and he was very, very anti-Trump back in 2016. Long story short, he knew, though, as much as he was in a community of very anti-Trump people, and he was very anti-Trump, and he couldn't understand how anybody could ever vote for Trump, but he knew there were people he knew that voted for him, and he knew they weren't bad people. So he was trying to make 1 + 1 = 2. Like, I think he's a very bad person, this is what he was saying, but I kind of like you, and you don't think he's a very bad person. So I want to understand why, instead of dismissing people. So anyways, he put it out there, and nobody would get back to him. And finally, his old babysitter got back to him and said, "You need to watch this." And she sent him some videos. And then he had this awakening, and this is what happens, I think, when we discover evil, that his news source, I won't say who, you have to watch the interview, but his news source was lying to him. He realized his news source wasn't really telling him the full truth. And so he started researching and doing his own homework. And then he started this walkaway program. So again, you look it up. I don't want to bring up anything, too political, but he started this #walkaway, and I mean, like, it's like a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal.
What is walk away?
He means walk away from a particular political party. He's encouraging people to walk away from this one particular party. And so, it all stemmed from he, really hated somebody, and he was a part of that, but he knew, I was watching the interview and I thought, something was telling you something's not right. Right?
And we all have that.
And we have this happen. Yeah. And sometimes we choose to ignore it, right? We blow
like
it off.
Like a fly, we blow it off.
We blow it off. Get away. I do it too. I do it all the time. We blow it off, but he's like such a great example of someone, he not only didn't blow it off, he did his research, and then he turned around and he's really he's really changing society. I mean, he really is changing the landscape. So it's that kind of thing. If you can be open and then do your research,
Right. Just don't take everyone's word for it.
No, do your own, do your own. That's been very freeing, I find. We did a show on Bill Gates, and that was something, Bill Gates, honestly, all I thought, he's just a rich guy giving away his money. That's all I knew about Bill Gates.
Most people do.
And then I noticed during the whole COVID thing, he was really weighing in heavy on it, and he was like making decisions about it. I'm like, whoa,
for all of us.
Yeah, for all of us. So I thought, okay, I don't know enough about him. Maybe he really is a great guy trying to save the world. And so I did a lot of research, and I presented it on that show. You can see that show.
You can see that show, yeah.
On Rosemary's Show. And I presented a lot. And you know what? He's not what I thought he was. And I don't, my opinion, but I don't think he's a good man.
No.
And
the facts are there.
I was very disappointed, really, to find that out. But I don't think he's a good man. So it's like up to us to discover. So now it's like he speaks, and it's like, oh, I got your number, and I don't listen to him, because it's like you're not I'm not letting you in.
That's right.
I'm not letting you in. I'm not going to listen to you. I changed the channel.
You can't just watch mainstream media and believe that.
You can't just watch mainstream.
Not
I don't care what it
all.
is. I don't care if it's CNN. I don't care if it's Fox. I don't care what it is. MSNBC. I don't care if it's Channel 8. I don't care if it's Channel 3. I mean, you need to question.
Someone out there has truths.
You need to. I have a friend who's always watching the news channels. She speaks another language, but she's always watching, the news out of Spain, out of Greece, out of South America. Like she's just, what is the world thinking? What is everybody else doing? about the pandemic and about so just kind of stretching your world a little bit, and it just kind of does open you up a little bit more, I think, to possibly what is evil. And I think the other thing too is to be open and to not label yourself, like not when I started uncovering certain things, especially when it comes to politics. I found, don't label yourself. Don't say I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm right, I'm left, I'm a liberal, I'm an independent, I'm a conservative, like that just pigeonholes you. Just try to put that over here and just do your research, you know what I mean? Just kind of be opened. And I know that has really helped me. Like, refuse to be triggered. I think evil wants to trigger you all the time, right? Mm-hmm. Evil wants to trigger you, like, oh, we know we can get to her if we say this. And it's like, just try to be Switzerland. Try to be really neutral when you're doing your research and to be open. I gotta tell you, it's very humbling when you realize someone you voted for is really not the person you thought they were when you voted for them 5, 10, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I can't believe I voted for that person, because they're just not who I thought they were. That's right. It's a very humbling experience to find out, I think I was wrong. I think that person's actually very evil. Mm-hmm. It's very humbling.
It is. It really is. And you need to admit that to yourself.
You do.
You need to be honest with yourself.
Now, you're always saying that evil does 3 things. Evil tries to divide, bind, and conquer. That's Lucifer's motto. Okay, that's Lucifer's motto. Yeah. So explain that to people.
Divide the people, divide them from each other so that they would go against each other. Bind them up with the lies and make them believe what you want them to believe. And then you conquer them.
Right, you take over them.
You take them over.
You take them over.
And that's what Lucifer does.
Right.
And that's what evil does,
take away your free will.
He is evil right now.
Right.
But he is going back to heaven one day. Believe it or not, folks, he's going back to heaven one day because he's God's child too. Mm-hmm. But right now, he's totally lost in evil. He's just totally obsessed with it.
So I think it's important to notice in current events, different things that are happening when it comes to dividing the people, right? How do you divide the people?
Which we're doing it right now.
We're doing it right now. Mass,
we
anti-mask.
are very divided. Never have we been so divided.
Vaccine, anti-vaccine.
Yes.
Believe in the virus, don't believe in the virus. Who's taking the virus seriously, who isn't. Right, left, definitely that's out there.
Yeah, right, left, right.
Right,
Democrat,
left,
Republican.
And then, and then you look at the riots, it's like they're peaceful protests. Well, I have children in major cities. They were not peaceful protests, no matter what. I mean, the news isn't showing you what's actually going on, but they were not peaceful protests. So, yes, are there peaceful protests? Of course there are. I know we had one in
there are peaceful protests.
Our town. Yes, there are, and that's a wonderful thing that we live in a country where you can actually protest.
Right, stand up for what you believe in.
Absolutely, stand up for what you believe in, but
don't
to
force it on somebody.
Create fear and anarchy and destroy property, which is the equivalent of stealing, and to harm other people, and it's just
it becomes riot.
And it's evil. It's evil. That's evil.
Rioting is evil.
So to divide and have people become dependent, to bind them, right? They have to become dependent on one thing, right? The government. I mean, it is spooky. People couldn't gather with their churches, that people couldn't gather as a family. People can't travel to see their family. People can't, it's like, it's kind of, you got to be a little aware as it just feels this way. Even if this is not what's happening, it feels like the government is the be all and end all, like making all the decisions, and it's just, I don't know, it's an uncomfortable feeling. It's uncomfortable, I think, if you can't go to your church and you're afraid to go to a doctor, seek help for yourself. You can't see your family.
How can so few rule so many?
I don't know.
Why
We've talked about
they
this.
Listen?
I don't know.
Why? I just don't understand it. Why do they listen? There's more of us than there are.
Well, yeah, and I think because people are.
Why?
I mean, I don't know.
They can't put thousands of people in jail.
I know.
Why do we just give in? I don't understand that. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a balance. Okay, in the beginning, say the pandemic, for instance, we didn't know what was going on. We weren't sure what was going on, and I think so many are just being respectful of other people, and then, but then I think there comes a point where, we got to live. We got to go about our lives here.
That's right.
So I don't know. I don't think there's any easy answer, but now is a great time to look for evil and try to discover evil and realize evil that's out there.
When things don't start to make sense, which has been happening now with all this virus and everything, it's just not making sense now.
It's not.
It's ridiculous.
No, because before it was you even put something on Facebook. Before it was just stay 6 feet apart and you're fine. Then no. Now you got to put on a mask if you can't be 6 feet apart. Then it was like we need you to mask all the time,
and we need you to be 6 feet apart all the time.
6 feet apart all the time, and it just says, and we want you to wear it in your car, and we want you to wear it in your home, and we want to, and it's just like it's just like it's a little much, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like people are making things up. Just, I don't know. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself. But if something's not feeling right, or if you're someone really living in fear, remember that's kind of evil driven, and to really, that's part of the spiritual journey. That's one of the things I've loved about being on the spiritual journey, is that I'm not as afraid anymore. I think I was very afraid of life before.
There you go.
Very afraid of life in so many ways. I had a scary childhood, so I was very afraid of life. And the spirituality has taught me not to be. And so I don't know, the next pandemic or epidemic or black plague, I might be very afraid. I don't know. I just know I
don't think you will anymore because you're in a different place.
I feel
You're in a different
relieved.
place.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of this. I want to be respectful of it, but I'm not afraid.
That's good.
So be careful of fear being induced,
That's right.
The people that are creating the fear.
I have something that I wanted to share with you and our audience. All of you remember that movie, Heaven is for Real, about the little boy who went to heaven, but he didn't die. He just went to heaven, and how he saw Jesus, and he saw how people were and how it was there and everything. And the first thing he said when he was back in his body and he woke up from the operation, he said to his father, "Dad, I want to hold that spider." Do you remember that, folks, from that movie? And that means that before this happened to him, before he got sick, he and his family went to Butterfly World, and there was a spider there. And he was a tame spider, like a tarantula, very pretty, very furry. And his sister held him. And when you are able to hold him, you get a little badge. And they said, "Come on, you try it." His name was Colton. "You try it." "No, I'm afraid." But when he came back from there and he saw how wonderful it was, the first thing he thought of when he woke up, "I'm not afraid anymore. I want to hold that spider." And he told the father, he told the people later on in the movie, he said, "Nobody wants to hurt you in heaven. Nobody." It was, remember that.
Yes,
okay?
Yes. Go to that source.
It's only fear.
Right. When you're confused, when you're afraid, just go to that source of God and heaven, and pray to God and ask heaven for help. And ask God, even if you have reasons to be very frightened of the virus or anything out there in the world, ask God to help you.
That's all you have to do.
Always have. We forget that we have that connection, but we have that connection.
Don't be fearful. We have to show that video now. We have
Yes,
to
please.
show the video part 2. We're not going to talk about much about it after, but we're going to show it to you.
It's a nice way to end it, though,
Yeah.
because it's very hopeful.
Just don't be fearful. Please
No.
don't be afraid. With God on your
No.
side, and He always is, you have nothing to be afraid of, ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Today I want to talk about the living waters of life, the wellspring. It seems like we've lost the connection with this eternal energy source and often feel exhausted and empty. Let's explore together how we can return to this nourishing stream. The origin is the wellspring heart of God, and the wellspring is the eternally flowing law, God. It is the stream in which all forms of existence live. The minerals, plants, animals, all beings, all souls and people. And all the heavens with their galaxies, stars and planets. It is the realm of joy, peace and harmony. In this stream, which is also spirit or love, there is no mine or yours. Every child of God is the heir of all of infinity, as everything is contained in everything, the all in the all. It is a realm of selfless, unconditional, unlimited and all-inclusive love. However, a long time ago, a certain number of spiritual beings decided to leave this reality, our eternal inner homeland, and acted against the divine law. Instead of selflessly loving God and all of creation, some souls developed a love mostly for themselves. Chances are that you and I were probably one of these little radicals. We willfully left the stream of life and soon found ourselves on the dry desert land, away from the constant flow of energy. It didn't take long and we began to thirst and crave for the waters of life, for the love energy, which we had left behind, and we also began to feel separate and lonely. That's when our base ego kicked in to obtain the lacking energy, these waters of life, by craving for approval, attention and love from other people, which is nothing but a cheap substitute for the divine love which we left behind. We do this in many different ways, from showing off and impressing others, from wanting more likes on our Facebook or Instagram postings, to craving for a next orgasmic encounter. It's all a sign that we are running on empty. These are all cries for love. And here in the desert, we began to rob the little remaining energy potential from each other through manipulating, begging, cheating, and outright theft. Because we have broken away from our innermost being, from the consciousness of the I Am, we became hard and against ourselves and our neighbors, the animals, plants, and minerals. But that's not all. There are other souls that have strayed even further away from the eternal stream of life into the darkest regions of the desert. They are largely called demonic beings, but in truth, they are also our divine brothers and sisters. And they are also loved by God as any other of His children, whether they are in the stream of life or not. These deeply fallen souls have wasted almost all of their own energy potential. They see us humans as juicy sources of new energy and have many schemes to entrap us and suck the energy from us and also to use us for their destructive ambitions. They try to lure us further and further into the desert, like with thought injections that stimulate desires and fantasies in us. They can offer anything that appeals to our senses, our ego, and our lower self, to our vices like greed, sex, power, status, vanity, anger, violence, and much more. And we so easily fall for it because most of us are totally unaware of their influences over us. They also try to make us join their groups or circles, may it be organizations like parties, religions, ideologies, philosophies, social groups, clubs, gangs, or whatever that would appeal to our desperate need of belonging and feeling special, loved, and appreciated. They offer seductive and splendid rituals, impressive titles and honors, shiny medals, striking outfits, and much more. All this to boost our ego and let us feel less lonely and separate from the stream of life. Their goal is to bind anyone who is so desperately wants to be accepted and loved. But it is all just a pretense to use us for their destructive goals and to obtain our energy, may it be our time, money, loyalty, or even our blood. Once we have joined their circle or fallen for their deceptions, we can easily be manipulated. A typical example is being hoodwinked into feeling superior to others, blaming others, quarreling, fighting, destruction, pain, fear, struggles, and even war. This way, a lot of divine energy of life is transformed down into still more and more negative energy. The darkness takes this in. It lives from it. So much in our world is nothing but a raw struggle for energy. The demonic law says divide and rule. More on this in my video on evil. Many of these entrapped humans are now so bound to these demonic souls that they will have to follow them even into the afterlife, into the astral worlds as their slaves. But nobody is lost forever. Even in these darkest regions, countless angelic beings are patiently and lovingly trying to guide each lost soul back into the stream of life, back to God. So how do we go back into this wellspring right now? Firstly, by becoming aware of these dark and dangerous manipulators and avoid their influences. And second, to start our journey back. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke said it so perfectly: the only journey is the one within. It is the journey home into the heart of God, into our center. For us humans, it is a very short trip from the illusionary and temporary outside world to the kingdom within, to God and the stream of life that is in each one of us, as we are the temple of God. The world we live in is the temporary and relative reality, the causal reality with time and space. It surrounds us like a mirror, reflecting back to us everything that is still not in accordance to the law of love and peace, all our trespasses and mistakes. A giant mirror for the purpose of self-recognition. I've outlined it in my video on the law of projection. So what needs to be done? Nothing other than to clear up our past so that we live consciously in the present, in the day. Then we will experience ourselves each day and recognize from this what needs to be cleared up in order to find our way into the center of the stream of life. By living a life according to the laws of love and peace, we are opening ourselves for the wellspring. Then we live for and with our neighbor, the animals, plants, and minerals. We then establish the connection to our innermost being, and there, in the stream, in the wellspring, is all the being. The nature kingdoms, all the beings of light, all the positive powers of human beings and souls. In the great cosmic teachings, Christ says, the divine law is link and be. This means that the one who lives connected with the innermost being is linked with all people and beings and with all forms of life. With them, he forms the unity in God that knows no differences, since everything is contained in all things, the law of life. Once we have opened up this inner wellspring of the living waters, we no longer crave for the love, affection, and attention of others. On the contrary, we are able to give that love not only to the one who are dear to us, but to everyone else. In my video, Recognize Yourself, I'm giving some helpful suggestions that were given to us by the spiritual world. And if you wish, I'm putting a link to the book, The Great Cosmic Teaching, below this video. If you have any questions, I suggest you go to my website lifeexplained.com and click on Video Index. Here you find all my short spiritual videos organized by different topics. Chances are that you might find here the answers you are looking for. I wish you peace until we meet again.
That was good.
That was good, right?
It was very good.
Yeah.
It took in what we were talking about.
Definitely.
You know, and how you can help yourself and not give in to evil and not give in to your fears. And,
right.
And all.
And just keep marching on, right? Just keep marching on and not get discouraged. There's a hashtag that goes around on Twitter, and it's God wins. So whenever there's just seems to be a lot of evil in the news that day, it's just hashtag God wins. You know, God will win. Okay, God will surpass evil.
Wow.
You know, the light wins, right? Every single time. So I like this because we make our way back to the light, back to the waters of life, as he says, the streams of love. And it just seems to always boil down to be aware, be aware, and be aware of the dark, like he says, be aware of the dark influences. When you're aware, evil can't control you. That's the thing. Evil just wants to control you.
That's right.
And if you're aware, like, oh, why do I have these negative thoughts? I'm pushing them out of my head.
That's right.
Getting rid of evil. It's taking the control back because you're
taking
aware.
It back.
Yeah.
God is, like he said, he's right in here, and that spark that Christ gave us when he died. He gave us that spark of life that we are eternal. And when we pray, we go right in here and pray in our heart, our heart chakra. That's all we need. God is with us. Go within. Like you said, the shortest journey is the journey within. The only journey is the journey within.
The journey within.
And that's why you sit, you meditate, you pray, and communicate with God, and commune with God and your angels. And you can do it if you just make yourself the time and believe. Oh, I pray that you all will just believe. I really do. Yes. That's the most important thing.
When we say, make the time, be consciously aware, like he says, just consciously begin your journey back home. So being conscious of being on the journey. But it doesn't mean you have to spend hours every day meditating, praying, It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that you're conscious, when you just ask God, like, I don't know why I'm in a bad mood. What is it? Keep evil away from me. That's all. Just keep evil away. Just ask. Keep evil away. Yeah. Keep evil away. I don't know where I'm going to encounter it today. Just please keep it out of my path.
And believe that he will.
You
got to believe. You got to think positive.
Yes, and ask for protection. Ask for angelic protection, energetic protection, the light around you. To just keep evil, keep temptation, keep bad thoughts, keep negative energy. Just keep it away.
And he will. He will. It's this child talking to him. Would you turn away from your child?
Right.
Would you tell your child no when something is good for them? You wouldn't do that.
No.
How much more when our perfect Father in heaven would give us? How much more would he do for us? All we have to do is ask. If people would just remember, just believe.
Right. Think about it, if your child has a bad dream.
Right.
You go in, you tell them it's not real. You tell them they're safe, they're fine, you're there with them. You're not going to leave them, right? You keep them secure. That's what God does for us.
That's it. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, we love you. We pray for you. We hope you believe.
Thank you. Yes.
We hope we've helped you tonight in some way.
Yes, we do.
Okay, we have to give our contact information. That show is over, and it's so fast. We can't believe it. For me, phone number is 203-627-7966. My website is whitebuffalo8@comcast.net. That's my email. I'm sorry, I'm getting all confused with talking. And my website is www.rosemarylachance.com, and a website where you can find all these books that will tell you what we've been talking about and what Hans has been talking about. It's www.gabrielle-publishing-house.com.
And you can get in touch with me and watch my show at on my website, carlaaugustin.com. And please watch my show, Spiritual Invitation, which is on YouTube.
And you can watch all these shows on YouTube. So go on there. There's over 200 and something shows there. Pick and choose what you like. Lots of them from Hans Wilhelm. So we have to say goodnight now.
Yes, and thank you everybody who does phone and leave messages at the studio, and then or email us, leave messages underneath the YouTube videos. Thank you so much for all your support.
And Jack, I hope we answered your question for you. I hope that you got enough out of that, okay? All right, good night everyone. Mwah.
Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.